Hey everyone, welcome to 2022. I'm Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama, and I think it's time we do a little bit of a Washington, DC housing market, State of the Union kind of thing. So let's talk about DC's housing market. The economy here is often described as recession-proof. The reason being is that it's strong, right? Home prices here have not declined significantly since like the mid-1990s. And often you would hear people talk about real estate as being local, which meant what was happening in one city wasn't necessarily happening in another city. Well, now we almost want to talk about real estate as being like super hyper-local and very zoned in. What might be happening in one neighborhood, isn't happening necessarily in the next neighborhood. And these are really important trends and things that we like to tell our clients to look out for. So how is the market? Well, median prices are up 10% year over year. We are supported tremendously in our economy with the federal government here. We've got the associated employers that work with the government, like lobbyists and government contractors. You've got law firms, you've got medical here, and we also have Amazon that's coming. So COVID kind of took the DC area for a bit of a ride. At first, the city cleared out as everybody wanted to move to the suburbs and even the exurbs and more rural areas. It turns out that a pandemic kind of was an excellent opportunity for people to express exactly how they felt about city living. And not a lot of them liked it. They were looking for something different. But the metro area recovered and demand kind of evened out a little bit. People started coming back to the city and people realized that there was still a value in living in the city. Some buyers were still looking for a steal on a condo, hearing that the condo market had kind of taken a dive. And they figured they would find condos that nobody wanted anymore and see if they couldn't score a sweet deal on them. But a lot of people embrace that city living isn't going anywhere, so even condos didn't take a huge dive in prices. So living in Washington, D.C. was for a brief moment on hold, but things returned pretty quickly to normal within a couple months. By 2021, the real estate market was again sort of following what these seasonal and cyclical patterns are that we were so used to seeing. Home buyers relearned quickly that buying a home in the D.C. metro area is sort of like riding a mechanical bull on a whitewater raft in a tsunami. My God. The Washington, D.C. real estate market. All right, let's take a closer look at everything. So the market has seen prices go up across the metro region. What we usually used to say was that the pie cools from the outside in, which means when times are good and people are moving further out, prices are going up. But when the economy constricts, then those prices start to go down and you start to see it. But I mean, that's not even a thing anymore with work from home and COVID and nobody commuting and all of that stuff. So, affordable homes kind of went the way of the dodo bird. So we would see that the pie was more like something you just heated up in the microwave. One part was hot, the other part was still frozen. Yours is frozen? Yeah. And there is no stirring up of this market and economy here. So cost of living has kind of skyrocketed all over the area. There are really no more affordable homes even an hour outside of the city. You can't just go scoop something up, in an area that might have a 1 hour or more miserable commute, because that doesn't exist anymore either, with such a realignment of where people are working and what work actually looks like these days, whether it's at home or in an office. So once no one was commuting anywhere anymore, the whole area went up in price. All right, so median home price in Washington, D.C. So in D.C., 2020, the median home price was $630,000. In 2021, there was almost a 5% increase, and the median home price went up to $660,000. Now, D.C. metro area counties kind of saw similar increases, with the exception of Arlington, which had a 2020 median price of $666,000, and then the 2021 median was just $670,000. That's like just a half a percentage point of an increase. Alexandria City went from a median of $600,000 in 2020 to $605,000 in 2021. So same kind of thing there. Where you do see jumps are in areas that have counties and parts that sort of extend into a more rural, less dense area. So Montgomery County, Maryland jumped 9.8% in price, from $482,500 in 2020 up to $530,000 median home price in 2021. Places that saw huge jumps, like I said, were further out, like Fairfax City. Median sales price was up 11.3% year over year. Loudoun County was up 12.9%. Prince William County was up 10.8% year over year. Now we'll talk about average house prices. So average price for a home in the entire metro area in 2020 was $585,517. In 2021, home prices jumped 9.37%, and the average was $640,387. Much of this, as we know, COVID fueled. The average home price in DC itself, not the whole metro area, was $755,167 in 2020. That jumped 8.36% to $818,322 in 2021. Now, average condo prices in DC, little bit different. So the average price of condos and attached, which it also includes row houses, but not single family detached houses with land all around all four sides of the house or circle of the house, or however many, sides your house has. Most of them have four, but sometimes they could have less, I guess, or more. Anyway. The average price of condos in DC was $687 in 2020, and that jumped 7.36% in 2021 up to $738,000. So there were no steals to be had on condos. The prices still continued to go up. Now let's talk a little bit about some recent examples of things that I know. One thing hasn't changed. COVID didn't change anything. People still like turnkey. You are in for a rude awakening if you're a seller and you haven't done any maintenance on your house and you think that you could still stick it on the market and it's going to sell for top dollar.
Wake up! Round!
COVID and home renovations have picked up with a fury, and it's actually virtually impossible to even get a contractor secured for several months. I have clients that just recently purchased a house at the end of 2021, and all the contractors that they are interviewing are quoting a time to completion as 8 to 9 months.
Hello, DC Home Renovators. How can I help you? Oh no, I'm busy. Oh no, I'm busy through the week. Sorry. No, I'm busy through the month. No, the whole, next 5 months, I'm busy. No, I'm busy through the year. Sorry, I can't help you. Bye.
They are not building a house. That is not a whole house, down to the studs renovation. This is just a renovation of some rooms, redoing a kitchen, some bathrooms. 8 to 9 months, people, 8 to 9 months. So now we'll talk about the rental market. So what's happening there? Well, the rental market has kind of moved in tandem with home sales, which is really typically not how we know things to work, right? So usually as home prices rise, renters leave the market and they become buyers, and then rents go down. But there's so many people who are moving to DC on a consistent basis who know that their time here is not going to be very lengthy. They may be here for a few years. And so they choose to rent, and rentals also remain pretty high. So studio rental and efficiencies typically cost around $1,500 to $1,800. Average rent in DC for a 1-bedroom apartment is $2,450 according to Apartment List. 2 bedrooms are going to cost you $3,462, and 3 bedrooms, which are usually houses by the time you get there, because we don't have many 3-bedroom condos here. They're kind of rare, but that will cost you, 3 bedrooms or more, you're looking at $4,282 and up. So how about factors that influence the DC housing prices? Well, you may think that interest rates are a factor that affect home prices in DC, as they do in other areas. I am sorry, you would be wrong. That's not the case here. 1 in 5 offers here is actually cash, which is incredible if you think about the fact that this isn't a market full of $20,000 homes here. You're seeing cash buyers well into the millions who have this kind of money and are willing to spend for the house that they want. So there are other factors that do affect home prices here, though. The first one is the neighborhood and location. No one has to tell you this, right? Real estate is location, location, location. That remains true, and that will never change. It remains true during COVID. It remained true before COVID. It will remain true after COVID. I hope there is an after COVID. This is insanity. All right, I've covered some of the best neighborhoods in DC in another video and blog post, and you should kind of take a look at that. It's a higher flying overview for sure, but there is variety in the list. Don't think just because I'm some middle-aged crazy mom that all I put on the list was neighborhoods where my other crazy middle-aged mom friends live. I mean, there's other cool neighborhoods on there. I used to be cool, well, I think. No, I was never cool. I just thought I was. I don't even think I thought I was. I knew I wasn't. So anyway, schools. All right. So home prices are going to really be impacted by schools. That's a big deal in this area. There are neighborhoods, especially where you'll see more in the suburbs, where if you feed to one high school, your home price might be like $200,000 more than literally the house across the street, because that feeds to a different high school. So you have to pay attention to that as well. Another thing that affects home prices is walkability. People really, really want walkability, especially now with COVID, where you've got so many people who maybe had 2 cars and were commuting to work, and now they're down to 1 car because they're like, what do we need 2 cars for? Like, we're not even, like, we don't go anywhere. We just go on vacation or whenever, and that's the only time we need a car. You're seeing that walkability is becoming a huge deal, even more so than it was before. All right, so let's zip this up. How about some key takeaways? Well, with a strong local economy and a variety of different home types and areas and prices, the market has really remained pretty steadily hot. Expect multiple offers this year. Expect tough competition, and expect that the turnkey and updated homes are going to go first. Get your financing squared away and be fully approved with a lender. And do a home inspection prior to writing an offer. I know. What did I just say? I said something that I don't think happens in any other market in the US. So there's cities that I'm looking at where I'm potentially investing in property. And I've spoken to my agent who's helping me there. And she was like, what do you mean you do an inspection before the offer? I was like, yeah, let's just throw an offer in, but let me do a home inspection before, and then I'll waive home inspection. She said, nobody lets anybody into their house here to do a home inspection before they're like have an offer accepted. I was like, girl, you may want to get on the train with this, because this may help you clean up. This is what we do here. I sort of like, want to slap the first agent who came up with this as an idea, because now it's the norm. And you'll see 5, 7, 10, 12 inspectors inspecting the same house, all for the purpose of multiple offers. But look, it's all about putting your best foot forward and coming up with everything you can to reduce these contingencies and make the sellers realize that you're serious and that you're willing to try your best to put your best foot forward and waive your contingencies so that you can get the house. Now, is it a good time to buy a house in DC or a bad time? It's hard to say. This depends on what your goals are, what you're looking for, and what your tolerance level is for this kind of a crazy market. There's definitely never a bad time to buy a house here. And if the last few decades are proof, then I would say there really isn't. But markets do ebb and flow. And I think that this is really important to know. Do you know that moment in a restaurant where you're talking and all of a sudden everything goes silent for like a split second? And then someone says something inappropriate and you realize you went to dinner with me and I'm probably that person and now everyone's looking at me? Yeah. Well, that happens in real estate. Sometimes there's a weekend where like nobody's really out looking at houses, or something hits the market and everybody thinks there's going to be multiple offers, so nobody writes an offer on it because they're just burned out, and then the house doesn't get any offers, and then one person sneaks in there a few days later and gets the house because everybody else thought that thing's going to go way over asking, and it doesn't. These things happen in the market, and it's really, really important that you are aligned with a real estate agent who's going to have their ear to the ground for you and tell you in case one of those little blips happens and that now is the time to strike. So market nuances are important. Got to pay attention to them. We are all in the front row for this, and word spreads quickly if one of our open houses is not well attended, or suddenly everybody just decides to like go on vacation for the weekend and you don't have that much competition. And then just when everybody thinks that the shutdown is here, train's back out of the station again, and here we go. It's all back. So what does 2022 have in store for us? We're going to see, but don't get caught in the frenzy. Putting together a real estate deal is really like doing a puzzle, and I love puzzles, right? No, there's not one way to do this. There's multiple ways to do it. There's multiple ways to get the house that you want and the house of your dreams without breaking your bank and without breaking your sanity. So the best thing that you could possibly do is have a good strategy in mind, know what you're going to be doing, what you're looking for, and know what your tolerance level is for everything. I'm Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. My contact info is coming next. The subscribe button's in the corner if you want to hit that so that you can be notified of any future videos that I put out, which I do every Wednesday. And contact me if you've got any questions about the DC market. Thanks.